Well, I promised you a fantastic conversation, and it has started right here on Nigeria's top news, talk and sports station, Nigeria Info. So go ahead and call someone because I would love to hear from you. Take a sample of your opinions, what your thoughts are about quota system in Nigeria. If you have benefited from the quota system, I'd like you to share with me when you call in. I'd also like to know what your inhibitions are on quota system in Nigeria. I've done a search going through the constitution, the Nigerian constitution, to say, so what law precisely supports quota system in Nigeria? I didn't find anything, but I did find the law that supports federal character in Nigeria, and also give you an historical background as to where did the idea of quota system, federal character, where did it begin from? Why are we practicing it? There have been calls from significant persons in the North to say, stop the quota system. The North cannot grow with the quota system. But I'm asking, is the quota system only favorable to people from the northern part of the country? Welcome to the Morning Crossfire. I am Wemimo Adewuni. Remember that I did tell you that the show is live on Facebook, so you can head there right now. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. Same for YouTube, Nigeria Info 99.3. You can go there and leave me a comment. WhatsApp number. Yes, I'll be taking WhatsApp messages also. The WhatsApp number is 08095975805. Let me take that again. 08095975805. Okay, I see I missed out on some of your comments on the front pages on Twitter. I'll have to oh yeah, so people are sending messages to Rotimi. Thank you all. Thank you all. So let's get this conversation started. Research has shown that quota system gives special consideration to candidates, especially from the northern provinces and other areas where educational facilities were more backward than elsewhere in Nigeria. So we're saying, is it merit? Is it that merit and competence is being sacrificed on the altar of quota system and federal character principle? Is a quota system a major barrier to learning in Nigeria? Or is the North truly educationally disadvantaged and educationally backward? If they are, don't we need to support them by giving them some quota so they are not totally taken out of the game? Let me start with that and take your thoughts on these questions. Here are the numbers you can call.
Call us on 0127709993, 0127719993, 0127729993, and 0127739993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
This is Nigeria Info. We are listening. I'd like us to have a frank conversation this morning before I bring in my guest. Let's see who's here. Good morning.
Hello,
good morning.
Yeah, my name is Ndubisi.
Ndubisi, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I really want to talk about the threat of the Boko Haram.
No, we're done with that conversation. That was on the front pages. Now we're talking about the quota system. That's done away with. Okay, can we stay with the topic? Thank you. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, my name is Femi.
Femi, where are you calling from? Okay, what do you think about the quota system?
Well, I think it's something we have to do away with. I was affected a lot of times getting admission into school. You will score, you will have a very good score, but just because certain quota has to go to a certain set of people, the remaining quota that is left in your own region would have to be shared amongst people who have very high scores. In the end, you would get to not gain admission, while someone else in some other place who probably score far less than you did would gain admission. And it repeated itself for a while until about 5 years when the post-UME thing came. And I gained admission at the first attempt. Again, the post-UME was good until a time they started bringing the quota system into the post-UME as well. And now the same thing is happening. So I think we should do away with the quota system.
Thank you very much for your thoughts. Your thoughts are well noted. Let's see who's here. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hello, morning to you.
Yeah, my name is Chika.
Your name is?
Chika.
Chika, welcome. Go ahead. What do you think?
Well, I think the issue of quota system should be jettisoned in Nigeria, both in the area of academics, in the area of employment, and in the area of, in all aspects. Because come to think of it, you talk about quota system, like the first caller like I said, I mean, the students will score high just because you want to actually compensate some region that you said that they are educational background. Then what is meant to the student that perform high?
But do you agree that some of these students are from educationally disadvantaged states? They are states educationally disadvantaged.
Well, the question we should be asking is that who actually make them less advantaged in terms of education? Is their leader. Because when you think of it, the issue of less educational background from the north has to do with their leader. And if you've been following the statement of Emir of Kano and the Sultan of Sokoto, you cannot but agree that it's their leader that are actually making them less educationally advantaged. Now, you want to take it to the issue of employment. If you go to our civil service today, you see all manner of people. Fine and good, in as much as you have to carry everybody along. But you have to carry everybody along, those that are actually qualified and those that are merit to be in the system. So you cannot begin to sacrifice merit on the altar of quota system. And when you want to take it, if you want to look at holistic aspect of it, now look at the appointment by the Mr. President. Does it justify quota system? The answer is no. So we cannot be robbing Peter to pay Paul. Look at Unity School, for example. I'm from Anambra State. 3 years ago, a cousin of mine scored 128. She couldn't get admission. But a student from Sokoto State who scored 12 can get admission. If the both of them get into the classroom together, there's no how that both of them can compete. It's practically impossible.
Right. Thank you very much. I hear you loud and clear. Let me squeeze in 3 more comments on this. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Wemimo.
Oh, I have a lady. I was going to warn you guys that if I don't have a lady call this morning, we're going to have a tough one. I'm glad you could make it in. Good morning. What's your name?
Good morning. I'm Ajoke.
Welcome, Ajoke.
I'm a first-time caller.
Oh, fantastic. Good to have you here.
Yeah. You see, this quota system thing, I'm originally from the South, but now I live like in Northern, because at some point I had to claim that I'm from the North.
You had to claim that you are from the North?
Yeah, just to get things done. You understand? Like from a very young age.
In what state did you have to do that?
I did that a long time ago. I can't.
Well, yeah, what states were you in then?
I was in, I think the FCT.
In the FCT?
Yes. But the thing is, right now, you just can't live your life like your life. You have to live like a certain group of people that you're not part of, but you have to act like you're part of them, just so that you can play the part you're claiming. So, I think people shouldn't have to go through that to get things done.
So you are saying this is because you think that people from the North were more favored, and that identifying as someone from the North.
The quota system, it was evident. You understand? And being somebody that grew up in the North, and my parents probably saw this, and they didn't want me to go through what they had probably gone through. So they made me have an indigenous certificate from the North, and then the thing now is I am grown, and I really don't like it. But I have to leave the past because I have already, my SSCE, my UME, everything was done using this thing.
So did you have to change your name or what?
I didn't change my name because I'm originally a Muslim.
Okay. So you just identified with your Muslim name?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
So my Muslim name naturally is a neutral Muslim name, and I can belong anywhere.
Right.
So I personally think that the quota system thing should be trashed. People shouldn't have to live like this. You should be who you really are when you want to be yourself.
Right.
People shouldn't have to live like this. And this is not just me. I have like 1,000,001 people who do that. is killing this country. People should be able to get what they want from merit. By merit, you marry this thing. I think it should be trust.
In summary,
I really believe that. Hello?
I can hear you, Ajoke. Thank you so much for calling. Let me squeeze in 2 more calls. I'm taking your opinion on the quota system. I will tell you the history of the quota system. You're here to learn some, and then we can have an argument about if you think this is fair or not. If it's backed by the Constitution, if we see that there is truly a need for it, should we scrap it? Good morning.
Good morning, Wemimo. Good morning.
Good morning.
This issue you're talking is a national issue and very important.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us that are from South, that have worked and retired, knew what a quota system was. We really suffered, even in the military. That's why today you see few Southerners in the military. It's all dominated by the Northerners. Wherever you are in your office, where they say the less privileged. Who is the less privileged? These Southerners have been cheated for too long.
But let me ask you. So the idea, I will run you through the details and the data very soon. But let's just have a normal conversation. The idea of the quota system is to give equal opportunities from people from different zone, part of the country. So are you saying
not like that in Nigeria?
And so why isn't it like that?
It's supposed to be.
So whose fault is it that it's not like that?
They have the monopoly over others.
Whose fault? So my question is, who decides who gets what, and why do you think it's not fair? Is it the fault of one part of the country?
It's fault of one part of the country.
How so?
It's where they claim there's majority, they have a say. It's still happening now, even in politics. Is it in House of Rep? Is it in wherever you name it? Local government creation? It's happening. The Southerners have been cheated for too long.
Well, Let's find
be honest
out
with ourselves.
All right, keep listening, okay? Let me take a final call on this first.
Hello?
Good morning.
Yeah, Wemimo, good morning. Thank
morning.
you for this topic.
You're welcome.
Babaji.
Welcome, Babaji.
I think when you started the topic, you said when you checked the Constitution, what you saw was a federal character, not quota system. Or probably they derived the quota system from federal character. And the last time I checked, even the federal character, I think you have to read it out in full.
Don't worry, I'll read it to you. You're the last call I'm taking for now. Yeah.
Let me just conclude. What I saw, they said in the appointment, the federal appointment from the president, you should put the whole country in your house. Now, at the end of the day, they will tell you that the ministers is from different states, 36 states. But the ministers, to appoint the ministers, the Constitution is very explicit. It said you should pick a minister from each state. But what about other appointments? Did you put the country in your house? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling. All right, now we set the mood for this conversation. I get a feeler of what you all feel about the quota system, at least from those who have called. Let me tell you more about the quota system. Now, the federal government established the federal character principle as a policy to check the problem of inequality and marginalization, and to ensure, I quote, that appointments to public service institutions fairly reflect the linguistic, ethnic, religious, and geographic diversity of the country. Okay, let's take a line from the Constitution. I'm reading from the Nigerian Constitution. The government of the Federation or any of its agencies and the conduct of its affairs shall be carried out in such a manner as to reflect the federal character of Nigeria and the need to promote national unity and also command national loyalty, thereby ensuring that there shall be no predominance of persons from a few states or from a few ethnic or other sectional groups in that government or in any of its agencies. So the idea of the federal character principle is the idea of fairness and a reflection of the diversity of the country. Now, the federal character principle is enshrined in Nigeria's constitution since 1979 with the Federal Character Commission established by Section 153(1) of the Nigerian Constitution. The federal character principle gave rise to the quota system in Nigeria, and it was established to solve problems, again, of inequality and marginalization. Now, let's go into some historical details, all right? At the time of the introduction of the quota system and federal character principle, that's 1958 and 1979 respectively, they appeared to be the ideal response to the challenges created then by the heterogeneity of the Nigerian state. So we're an heterogeneous state, and because of this, we're trying to react and take a cue from how we are and make it just fair. Now, these policies have continued since then. 1958, 1979, it's still here. And we're asking questions, should we keep it up or should we scrap it? Now, remember that we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube right now, Nigeria Info 99.3. Let me go there and take some comment. And also on WhatsApp, the number is 08095975805. 08095975805. We have this in. Remember to include your name when you send your comment. Alex Agbo from Aja says, after scoring 15 points in IJMB, I still lost my admission to ABU because they had to take students from other states. I didn't stop them from passing. All thanks to God and my HOD, Dr. Mike Duru, who decided to use merit. I will never forget the trauma. Scrap federal character, quota system, and all. It's a drawback. Also, hello, Wemimo. You are getting to the roots. It says, now you are getting to the root of the alarming drop of quality in our system. How do people who naturally don't qualify for a role expect to perform on the role? Eventually, they still find a way to go through school and the role and become half-baked graduates, creating more problems for the society. This is the genesis of drop in education, as most of these guys take to teaching job and so on. Charles from Ikoyi, right there. Ifeanyi Uja from Ijebuode says, I benefited from quota system during my entrance in secondary school. I was admitted through the environmental quota in Federal Unity School. Says, funny enough, I was not even helped at all. Nobody helped me. I had one of the highest scores among my mates that was admitted at the same time. Therefore, my parents didn't have to go through the usual bribery they subject parents to. So you see, this is not just another thing. There's a quota system for each state, which is meant to drive fairness and equality. Once your quota is filled, just to drive fairness, we have to take people also from other states. Do you think that's a problem? Endurance from Ikoyi says the quota system has overstayed its importance to Nigeria as a country. There is no equity at all, and it's obvious that the northern Nigeria. So here is the thing. Why do we think this is in favor of northern Nigeria versus southern Nigeria? This is a problem we're looking to address on the show this morning. If there's a quota for every state, you didn't talk about your quota. You also have a quota. You don't talk about your quota being filled up. It's full. That means we have to go elsewhere. That's the only way we can ensure fairness and everyone feel like they're part of the country. Don't you think? And Duran says the quota system has overstayed its importance to Nigeria as a country. There is no equity at all, and it's obvious that the northern Nigeria, which according to the principles, Nah. Okay, let me skip that and read. It's, you say, if Nigeria must grow, we must grow up from this quota system. We are first Nigerians before being identified by any region. So you're saying, let's forget where you're from. Let's just say, you're a Nigerian. Do you deserve it or not? Prince Will says, the quota system is a necessary evil. Should be jettisoned. Said you were denied admission 15 years ago to study law at Nnamdi Azikiwe University after scoring 256 in JAMB, and someone from Taraba State who scored 150 got admission. Well, with what I heard you read out from the Constitution, it tells me that the best from such educationally less advantaged states should be given opportunity and not appointment or admission of unqualified people. Okay, Mayor from Aja says, Wemimo, good morning. With what you've just read, can you say that the federal character has been upheld? Looking at our current service chiefs, can you say there is federal character? Looking at the chronicle of our presidential seats, do you see equity in federal character? Or do you sit in our security outfits? Federal character is a hoax. It should be scrapped. Merit should be upheld at all costs. Quota system is counterproductive. It encourages incompetence, laxity, and sentiment. When a country where equity and egalitarian principle must be upheld, the quota system favors a region over the other. That in itself nullifies fairness. This is from Rotimi Showumi from Amuwo Odofin. I need more people who have benefited from the quota system to tell me. This can't be one-sided. You mean you all didn't benefit from the quota system? No. That's not fair. I mean, if there's a quota for each state, you must have benefited from it. So can you tell me about that? Samuel is in transit, but says on WhatsApp the quota system should be scrapped. It doesn't encourage equality. Also here, Stephen from Yanokpaja is sending a message on WhatsApp. I'm coming back to the phones. It says, Wemimo, my heart bleeds by what is called quota system. I have the following qualifications. Oh my goodness. I'm just about to read this. PhD in applied psychology, MSc in marketing, MEd in counseling, MBA, BA education, PGD theology, diploma in computer science, diploma in Nigerian law, and so on, yet I could not get a job. Wow. Says I attended an interview, did very well, yet the job was given to someone from a certain zone who had OND. Wow. Okay, let me go back to the phones. Remember, we're going to Kano State because we're trying to balance this conversation out. We'll be going to Kano State to speak with our guests from there. We'll have a public affairs analyst who's lived almost all his life in Kano State in the north. And he can tell us fairly what this is about. If you have a quota for your state and it's filled up, do you think it's unfair to then give some other people the same chance? Whoa, so sorry. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry about that. Good morning.
Morning.
Hello, good morning.
This is Akin speaking.
Your name is?
Akin.
Akin, where are you calling from?
From Ikeja.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's nothing wrong with the quota system, my sister.
Right.
It's just the sincerity behind it that we should look into. I graduated from ABU's area. Mm-hmm. And that's the only school that I know that has representatives from all the 774 local governments while trying to take the admission. Mm-hmm. So if there is sincerity, I don't think there's anything wrong with the quota system. If we are talking about the quota system in education line, if you go towards the east, the easterners do not even give Yoruba people admission when it comes towards that side, compared to what we find out in the north. So I just feel it's sincerity that's the most important, not
the idea of the quota system itself. Thank you very much for calling. That's fair enough. Good morning. Okay, your line is too noisy. Please try again.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Wemimo. What's your name?
Yeah, well, my name is Mike. I'm calling from Ikeja.
Have you benefited from quota system ever before?
Not really. I've been excellent students who, and now at over 50, I think I'm a bit, over above that. Anyway, the last person that spoke has said it all. There's nothing wrong with quota system. But if there's sincerity of purpose, I think it's fantastic. And I would like to correct an impression. It's my own view anyway. We should stop this idea of one Nigerian first, then whoever you are. It is wrong. But outside Nigeria, fine, it's fantastic. Because I've traveled everywhere, Ghana, Benin. If you see the way Nigerian behaves, hardly will you know they are the Yoruba or Igbo or whatever. But when we cross the shores into Nigeria, it's always a different place. And we have to live by it for now. Some regions, you cannot even buy land. Even amongst themselves, they cannot even buy land. You understand? Not to talk of giving admission to people. And it's the same set of people that will be saying quota system is this. Quota system applies to, I think, to federal admissions and federal positions. What happens within your locality, within your region? It is that time we start talking to our state governors. Let them go into regional integration so that we can have something fantastic in the region instead of fighting. Let's make federal irrelevant, at least for once.
Right.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Now, let's get into it a bit more. The House of Representatives and the Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi, made calls for focus on education, warning the poor attitude to education in the northern part of Nigeria, saying that the North had not fully taken advantage of the quota system to develop itself. That's what they said. In the news this past week, the chairman of the House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Benjamin Kalu, in a media interview said, I quote, the North had not fully taken advantage of the quota system to develop itself. It urged, that system urged that the North should embrace education in order to compete with other regions and stop relying on the quota system. Now, remember that the quota system policy by the federal government was introduced in 1958. As a special consideration to candidates from northern regions and other areas where educational facilities are said to be more backward than elsewhere. Okay, remember that the idea is also to create a sense of belonging, to break the barriers of poverty, of disease and ignorance that had bedeviled the country. I'm not sure I should put bedeviled in past tense because it's still bedeviling the country. Poverty, disease and ignorance. So many parts of Nigeria are still politically, educationally backward. And do you think we should give special consideration to these areas? Again, this is not just about the North. If we're going to be fair, this is not just about the North. Let me head out on a break. A bit more history after the break so you can learn some more. And then I'll be joined by my guest in Kano State. And we'll talk about how the coastal system has affected the northern part of the country. So, and you tell me how you have also benefited or been disadvantaged by the quota system. That will be after the break. This is the Morning Crossfire. I am Wemimo Adewuni. I'm back shortly.
Hi there! Like the popular belief, the side of the bed you wake up on can affect your mood all through the day. But not just that. The kind of information you're exposed to can not only affect your mood, but also your opinion throughout the day. Start your day the right way. Listen to the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff. Get the headlines, hot news, latest developments, both locally and internationally. Right here on the Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
The number you're trying to call is not reachable at the moment.
Sorry about that. Trying to get our guest on the line from Kano State. It's the Morning Crossfire right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one for news, talk, and sports station. And we'll be joined by Ola Barnabas, who spent a lot of time in the North. Since you're all talking about the North, you think the North gets it all. But is that a fair representation of what the federal character principle and the quota system idea concept has been for us in Nigeria? The idea of fairness, equity, of a feeling of, oneness, and a feeling of belonging, a sense of belonging. Don't you think that's important in a country like Nigeria? If we're going to be frank with ourselves the way we are right now, don't you think it's just fair to consider people who might feel disadvantaged in one way or the other. Again, we're going down history lane. In 1958, the government introduced a quota system to quell the agitation for access into public service, to structure and configure. That's a structure and configuration we had then of the Nigerian colonial state, which then favored particular groups over the others. Okay, so that brought about imbalance in the representation of the different ethnic groups we had back then. Then, a quota of 50% was allotted to the north, 25% each, to the east and the west. Okay, that was what we had then. That's why it had to change. The huge educational gap between the north and the south in the 1950s, as a quota system, was not employed. The International University Council insisted on merit as pivotal for academic excellence and admissions to the University College Ibadan. This stance of merit over quota was maintained by the post-colonial government of Alhaji Tafawa Balewa. Move up to the 1970s, northern leaders became more concerned with the extent to which the north had been left behind in the area of Western education, and so they intensified the clamor for an inclusion in the quota system in education. The north insisted that the non-inclusion of quota system creates a barrier to the Western educational seeking northerners who are actually educationally weak as of that time. And that created a barrier for them to get educated and to become as competitive as southerners. Are you following the class, people? Okay, now move on to 1972. The military government of General Yakubu Gowon, who was not in support of the idea of a quota system, attempted to dismantle academic barriers in northern Nigeria. Here's what he suggested. He suggested that without playing down on merit, the primary and secondary school education in the disadvantaged states, which are mostly, underline the word mostly, situated in northern Nigeria, should be strengthened by adopting a massive education program that provided increased educational facilities across the north to equate that of the south. But Gowon was overthrown by another military coup, and in September 1976, General Olusegun Obasanjo then led the government and launched universal free public education to provide free and compulsory education for all Nigerian children. But in spite of the government's effort, the North expressed their dissatisfaction through a violent protest then, which crippled the educational sector and eventually forced the introduction of the quota system. You get the idea? So that's a bit of the history of where we're coming from. And this is reflected both in employment and in education. Several times we've confused quota system with federal character principle because, there's barely any strong line of division, explaining both. The quota system was proposed at facilitating equal representation. The federal character principle demands far more than the quota system, in the sense that it switches emphasis from opportunities to privileges and benefits. Okay? It's wider than the quota system. But both the quota system and the federal character principles are responsive to the challenges arising from a multi-ethnic and multicultural country like Nigeria. All right. I'll get back to the phones in a moment, but I ask you all to please bear with me. Give me a moment to go away. Okay, I need to get the guest on the phone. I had an issue with that earlier on because it's standing by at our Kano studios to join this conversation, and we need it to be as balanced as possible. So I take a few seconds to be off here. I'll just play you a few things, and then the conversation would continue. I'll be right back.
The Nigerian Stock Exchange has declared
Minister of Trade and Commerce,
and on the economic front, reportedly all.
So the thoughts around creating the Money Business and Economy show on 99.3 Nigeria Info was in trying to help you understand how business and economy headlines affect your income. But it turns out you want more. Powered by the 99.3 Nigeria Info newsroom, we will be covering AGMs, news briefings. Basically, we will be the fly on the wall at every business discussion that matters. Because most of the time, the news headlines do not cover everything that's going on.
Join Tunji Andrews on the Money, Business and Economy Show. Every weekday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
24 hours in a day. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That's a lot of time. We fill it with the best in talk. From the morning crossfire to the money, business, and economy show, down to the midday dialogue, the lunchtime magazine, hard facts, and so much more. Just for your listening pleasure. Your number one news, talk, and sports station. The station for everybody.
Everybody in Nigeria listens to Nigeria Info.
From your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.
Yes, I asked for a minute and we're back. This is the Morning Crossfire, 99.3 Nigeria Info, and yes, it worked. Those few seconds worked. We're going to Kano State right now. If you're not on Facebook, please go over there right away. If you're not on YouTube, please go ahead there right away so you can watch our guests from our Kano studio. Remember, radio is not what it used to be. Radio for you on Nigeria Info is now visual. That means you can watch us as well as listen to us. My guest is joining live from our Kano studios. Yes, we have studios in Lagos, Abuja, Kano, Port Harcourt, Onisha. Yes, we're all in all of those places. Mr. Ola Barnabas is a public affairs analyst who has spent lots of time in the north. He's been there for years and he's also got a feel about the quota system. He's joining me right now live from Kano. Ola Barnabas, if you can hear me, good morning. And I can see you live right here on the screen. So go over to Facebook and tell me what you think. Remember, the WhatsApp number is also 080-9597-5805. The phone lines have been buzzing. I don't know if you caught up on any part of our conversation, but most of the callers, Barnabas, seem to believe that the quota system, most of them, has favored the North. Just one person told me the truth and said that he had benefited from the quota system, though he's from the South, because there's a quota for every state. Frankly and very fairly, from your point of view, you've been in the North for so long. Do you think there's a bias with the idea of a quota system?
Well, I think you're making it very direct for me, and you're probably putting me in a very tight corner to answer that question directly. Okay. All right. But let me say this before I go directly to your question, okay? The idea basically is I think the strategy of the quota system is three. There's a question of peace, and the question of stability, and the question of equity. Those three are key to the quota system idea. And when you look at them, on a broad note, looking at these three, you would want to, I think it would be fairer to judge looking at these three than to look at only one of them. Okay? Talking about peace, has the quota system enhanced peace or peaceful living and peaceful development in Nigeria? You would agree with me that there's some kind of yes, not a complete yes to that question. Why would I say that? Whatever problem we have with our peaceful living in this country now is not directly related to quota system issues. All right, there might be elements of here and there, disgruntled feelings and unease and all of that, but then it's still not. We cannot relate our current situation of not having peace directly with the quota system. Now, talking about equity, that's where I would agree with you. That the quota system has seemed to favor some part of the North more than it has the South. There are arguments that the quota system favors having representation over merit. And that I think is true because we have so many states in the North. For example, we have about 19 states in the North, and some of these states are classified, a lot of them are classified as educationally less developed states. Okay, and what that means is that if you are given, okay, let's take the Unity States, the Unity schools, for example, if you have, let's say, the score, the maximum score is 300, I think some states have to score as high as 130, 136, 139 or thereabout for them to get admission to Unity schools. Pupils from the North, some of them have to score as, just as low as 4 or 10 to get admission to the same school. So you find, for example, that somebody scores 120 in the South, does not get admission, and somebody scores 5 in the North and gets admission to the same school. So I think on the basis of that, you would
idea of this equity that we talk about is to say that we acknowledge that the North and some other states across the country are educationally disadvantaged. We're talking about education. The quota system is not just about education, but let's say with education, we acknowledge that there is a problem here and that some of these states are educationally disadvantaged. So we give them a chance, which they would not have had without the idea of the quota system. Isn't that the idea of equity?
I agree with you. I agree with you. They wouldn't have had that chance without the quota system. But should we close the chance on them because they can't score as high as 100, as 120, as 130? Should we close the chance on them? I think maybe what we should have done is that we should, as much as possible, lay it bare for everybody to walk up to meeting up with what's required, all right? But then, as much as possible, we should also make provision for those who are less advantaged as compared to the South.
It on my handle as Wemimo Sport, so you can see it. I had the kind of a thought to myself, and I just started a thread then to say children from the North are not born naturally dumb or unintelligent. Okay. If children from the South had been born in those situations, they probably would have been raised in such ways also. If they are governors, if they are states.
Okay, let's look at the scenarios. Let's look at the scenarios that face the different regions of the country. Okay, and let's try and make a case for the North, coming from this point of view. The northern region of the country battles a perennial problem that the South does not know anything about. And I'm sure you're familiar with the Almajiri system, or you probably have heard of the Almajiri system before. Okay.
Support it, but it's a menace.
No, I don't support it. But it's a menace. It's a menace we are dealing with in the North. Okay, and we can't run away from it. All right. Now, this is the point I'm trying to make. The North may be literate, but it's not the Western literacy that the North has. For example, the North has Arabic education, which has been here for ages. Centuries, maybe. Okay, so people are literate in that, but they are not Western literates. So the kind of education that the West has, the North does not have. Now, the point for us here in the North is this. If we are going to place the North or the Northerners and the Southerners on the same side, weighing them on the same scale of Western education, the North will fall flat. The North will never be able to meet up with it. The Almajiri system, well, I don't want to go too deep into that now, but there are so many things that continue to weigh down the North in terms of education, in terms of educational pursuit. So that's kind of, I think for me, that's kind of should give us we should have some sympathy for the North.
The feeler I get is
for
that
merit, okay,
most people from the North, and I think that here is where we keep brushing when we say the North, the South. You've rightly identified that the West and the South, we're more Western education inclined. We can't totally call the Northerners illiterate because they're also educated Islamically. That's what they've learned. But that is not how things are rated when it comes to employment. And when it comes to writing JAM, we don't ask you questions with Arabic. When it comes to getting employment, it's about what have you studied in school. It's all about Western education. If this is the case, I think the big question we're all avoiding to ask is, should we force or should we push a bit harder for Northerners to get Western education?
Yes, we should. We should. And I think that it is even better now. All right, if you have lived in the North for as long as I lived, you will know that there's been serious, tremendous changes in the kind of education that has been coming to the North and the reception to Western education. Don't forget that the Boko Haram history itself is anti-Western education. That tells you that there's some Western education that is rising here. We have now states that are committing certain percentage of their budget to Western education. We didn't used to have that before. We have states now that are building schools. If you come to see some schools in the North, you will marvel. Okay, there is growing interest in Western education. It's better now than it used to be. Okay, and what that tells us is that going forward in the next few years, say 10, 20 years, the North can begin to probably match the South when it comes to, writing, Western literacy and the rest of them. Maybe
for a total scrap of the idea of a quota system. Some lawmakers also called for this. Some northern youth also called for it. You live in Kano. Have you been able to sample reactions from, people in the North as to, let us scrap the quota system? That will make them, work harder. That will make them, be able to aspire to be equal to their...
Let me tell you what will happen.
Let me tell you what will happen if you scrap the quota system. Let me tell you what will happen if you scrap the quota system completely. All right. It will be too extreme for now. And what you would have done is that you would have made those who were begging to go to school to not go to school at all. All right. If some people who are expected to even score as high as 6 or 5 can't even get 5 over 300, if they can't get that score, and now you are saying they should match up and produce 130, before they can get the same admission that somebody from the South is expected to score and get, then you would not even, they won't go to school.
You're saying the idea of scrapping the quota system right now is going to be counterproductive?
I think it's supposed to be a gradual thing. It should not be an immediate and
give the northern governors a deadline and say by so and so a year you must have, say, 60% of students who have graduated from school or who are scored. Do we give them a deadline?
Unfortunately, Wemimo, it doesn't work like that.
People think about this conversation. Where Barrister Curtis Adigba, one of our analysts in Lagos, has been listening to this conversation, sent me long messages and said, Wemimo, I want to join this conversation. Okay, he's saying that the people who complain about the abuse of the federal character principles are also abusers of the same principles at their local government areas and in their states, where the same principles are ignored. Some of our callers have pointed this out. They said the federal character is not to be applied to only political appointment, but also to recruitment in civil service, parastatals, in the military and paramilitary agencies. And he emphasizes that the South dominates the public and civil service of Nigeria. Wherever the Igbos, Hausas, Yorubas lead, they recruit their own people to dominate the place. Ola, do you agree with this?
I think that's very correct. I mean, we've had instances of recruitment in the past. Let me give you an instance, a recent one during the Jonathan administration, where we had an immigration officer from the southeast, that populated the entire place with people from her place, and then it had to take the intervention, I think, of one of the houses of assembly or something, and then I think eventually she was even ousted from the office. So we have instances of that. That the North does that is not a hidden secret. But that other parts of the country also do the same thing. I think it's no longer
fingers at the North when the South and the West also do the same.
Okay, I think we point fingers at the North more because the North has a higher population, or that the North tends to feel more of those places. The North has 19 states. Don't forget that. When it comes to political stuff, we count 19 states. Maybe when it comes to other things, we count lesser states. All right. So if you hear a name like Musa Audu or Abubakar or something, the first thing that comes to your mind is this is from the North. All right. And then there are 19 states. If you minus 19 from 36, it tells you how many numbers the other region, 3 other regions have to share. 5 other regions. About 3 other regions have to share. Okay, so it's a lot
here. Arguably,
plus for the North.
It's a plus for the North.
I guess this is where the crux of the problem is. As population census shows that we have more people in the North, so definitely they will have more slots than people down south. But that is usually how things like this are judged. Isn't that fair? Also, I think that's fair. If you have more people, then you should get more slots.
Well, the Western education does not allow you people to give birth to as many children.
There you go. You're finally dragging me into this number of children conversation.
Oh, yes.
There you go. So,
well, you know I'm right, don't you?
Well, you know I'm right, don't you?
point, let's go back to the phone lines. People have been trying to call while we're talking. They just want to interrupt. They have a lot to say. If you don't have our numbers, here they are again.
Okay.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
This is Nigeria Info. We're listening, and WhatsApp. I'm trying to keep up with all the messages pouring in. 99 already now. Do I even read all of those? Okay. Please, I needed to include your name. Hi, Wemimo. Before the quota system, the candidate must at least score the pass mark of not okay. You're saying this is how it should be, that at least the students should score the pass mark, not that 15 will be selected and 150 rejected. It says this is the genesis of unintelligent leading the wise. I see. You didn't put a name to your message. John says, good morning, Wemimo. I think the problem is sincerity, as the last caller said. I'm from Kogi State myself. I attended a school in a Yoruba state. I got in on merit. Now the issue is that most of the people who get into a place using the quota system do not actually know they got in by being favored. Now, if you get a job as an OND holder against a PhD holder, they do not actually tell you that you got in because of the quota system. You see, so many people in the South don't understand that they also have a quota, and that's why they got in. It says, now, I think for this to be well discussed, we need people from the employer's class to come tell us more, right? If they will tell us the truth about how they select, you mean? Bioye from Surulere says, I understand the logic of the quota system. I am not too familiar with it. Can you please give figures, e.g., Unilag admission? What percentage needs to be from other regions? I'll have to do a thorough research on that right now. Give me some minutes. I'll see if I can get on it. Joseph from Lekki says, it's good that Buhari has chucked federal character in the bin. No, nobody has said that on this show. No. It hasn't been chucked in the bin. The conversations are ongoing. It says we have two options: tribalism or quota system. Good morning, Wemimo. My name is Tare from Lekki. Scrap the quota system, scrap state of origin. These are part of the diseases eating up the country, have never benefited from it. Mayor is in Aja. He's on the line. Mayor, good morning.
Good morning, Wemimo.
Good morning.
Yeah. You read out the quota system history, and I recognize you said something about 1958.
Mm-hmm.
So this is over 6 years down the line, and it was a consideration of the North being a little backwards back in 1958. So don't you think 6 years down the line is enough to have built a nation? Look at Dubai, look at Indonesia. These are people that had independence after us. So what I'm saying is, where there has been a promotion of religious rights other than education properly, that's where you have this kind of deficit. And at that place, you are not encouraging fair play. Because the truth is, even in any kind of sport or any kind of competition, what happens is that the best person wins. Do you understand? So your idea of bringing different people to have an equal playing ground does not work for another person that has worked hard.
But do you agree that the idea of, slow development or lack of it totally is widespread across the country?
Whose fault? There are leaders of different regions. So how do you tell me that southern leaders or western leaders go ahead in their own little ways? I'm not saying that they have done it all right, but they have made better opportunities for the people coming behind them. And then someone somewhere is propagating Islamic rights or Islamic education or a kind of education where at the end of the day, you still need to use Western kind of equipment and ideologies to propagate your agenda of your country. And then you now have to say that maybe because they are from the north, they have not been well educated, and then you have to consider them. I don't think you should be considered because their leaders have gained from this Western education.
Right.
So what they should have done was bring up people, make their human beings there more resourceful, other than promoting some kind of belief that will not eventually make anything come to the table.
All right, Mayor. Mayor, thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor. Remy is on the line from Makoka. Remy, good morning.
Morning, Wemimo.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. I served in the north, Jigawa precisely.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you also served in the north.
Yes, I did. I served in Zamfara. I think I've mentioned that a number of times.
I saw some things. And if you have to make your opinion known on air, I know what probably your opinion could be.
Well, you could guess.
Yes. I once told the NYC officials who came to my PPA that there is little or nothing the NYC program can do to change what is going on because it is ultra. Right in front of the school where I taught, we have primary schools whereby all they do is play. I went to primary 6 all day. So the foundation is wrong. How do you, are we going to wait for them to get to our level? Or how long are we going to wait? How long will the South need to wait?
So so you pointed out some children, and rightly so. I also saw it, but maybe we didn't see the same things. But I'm asking, is it the fault of these children who were born in these places where there are governors, where things are not working? Is it their fault? Should they, because of that, not be given a slot, chance at all?
What did the South did right that the Northerners are not doing right? Are we going to pay for their leaders' ineptitude? For how long are we going to wait?
Are we paying for their ineptitude if we have equal quota?
The word equal quota. Okay, someone said
at least based on population.
Based on population shouldn't be the yardstick. Because just like the man you interviewed said, the Western education forbids giving birth to several children.
Not forbid like that, but usually when you're educated, you tend to have fewer children because you understand better.
To cater for them. Are they going with that trend? No. So there's a culture over there. I had students who were already married. I saw students who enrolled when they were in SS3. They never had primary education. They came to school to register when they were in SS3. I saw them. I knew what I did during the YS.
So what do you propose as a way forward now?
I think the best thing is for the region to be, for everybody to go back to its own name. Let each state do that it pleases, because we can't wait for them.
You are saying students from, let's say, Lagos State. If you're an indigenous of Lagos State, you should get education in Lagos State. You should get jobs in Lagos State and just stay there.
If I'm to go to Kaduna to get a job, let there be a yardstick which they will use. If I'm to come to Lagos, let Lagos use its own standard. I can't go below my standard all because I want to bring people.
Remy, I'm sorry. I need to. Remy, I'm sorry. I need to wrap it up now because we're due for the news. We're back at 9, so I can take more calls. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'll call back.
Thank you. Ola Barnabas is still on the line in Kano State. We're heading out for a very quick break. We'll also take the news, and with this conversation can continue. Is it fair to continue with the quota system? Why not? If it's not the fault of these people who grew up in these states. And remember, it's not just a matter for the North. Ola is smiling. I'm watching it from here, just listening to you all and just smiling through it all. We're back in a moment and we'll hear again from him. We're asking a question. Does the quota system help Nigeria? Join the conversation again after the break. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
We're on a break.
from your #1 talk news and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with Wemimo and Sheriff.
Welcome back, 99.3 Nigeria Info. Yes, we are back and the conversation is still ongoing and we're still digging out more data for you. Let me run you by some. I'm Wemimo Adewuni and we're asking the question, does the quota system help Nigeria? And we're having a very frank, sincere conversation. I know how passionate you could get about this. No, it's not fair. I want to have my slot. I want to get in there also. But we want every Nigerian to have a sense of belonging. We want every Nigerian to get, pardon my use of this cliche, but to get a taste of the pie. Okay, so let's put it that way. From Kano State, Ola Barnabas joins me. He's a public affairs analyst. He's lived in the north for many years. If you're on Facebook right now, you can watch him. He's in our Kano studio. If you're on YouTube right now, you can also watch him. He's also right here. Twitter is at Nigeria Info FM. Facebook Nigeria Info 99.3, YouTube Nigeria Info 99.3, WhatsApp 08095975805, and that's where I'm talking to you. The phone lines will also have a dedicated number for females because we love to hear from you. 012770993. If you're not female, you can call any of the other lines 012771993, 2993, and 3993. On Twitter, Sadia Kabiodun says there is nothing wrong with this system due to the high population and limited universities, only if the cutoff mark is met. But cutting the cutoff mark in order to meet the system's demand will be causing future problems. Also, we have these from Joey Zaza, who says, are you sure you don't know any educated northerner where they have a degree in Arabic studies who is not gainfully employed? That's a very deep question. You're saying for everybody complaining, are you sure you don't know a northerner who is also thoroughly educated, who's got Western education, who's got Arabic education, and who's also not got employment? Says, let's be Nigerians first. Let's move this up and see some more comments on Twitter. Toluwala Sheluwa Kwalumi says, no! Quota system is stagnating and retrogressive. All this sugarcoating, fronting, fairness won't make it work or sensible. Just take a look at the people leading your ministries and agencies now. You're such a joke. I wouldn't read that. It says... Okay, I won't read that. Again, Quantum Leap says the quota system is unfounded in Nigerian laws, but its practices are entrenched in the federal character principle. That's very correct. Says since its inception, the quota system hasn't led to any meaningful development in the polity. Rather, it has encouraged nepotism and wanton corruption.
You can read the SMS.
Okay, I think you sent this. It said this is 2020, not 1958. Please. Okay, let me speak with Ola Barnabas again. He's in Kano. Well, I'm asking, what is the solution? You can see many people, throwing their hands, getting red in the face and saying, no, we don't want it. But some of the comments that have come in earlier is to say that even at the state level, in each state, we are not fair to one another. I mean, you go to a state in the south, in the southeast, the first thing they check is your name. Where are you from? No, we don't have room for you. We have to give room to our people first. How do we end these bias? These, I'm from here, you are from there, and so I need to get them in before you.
Unfortunately, that's our experience everywhere in the country, okay? It doesn't even matter whether you are in the southwest, whether you are from or in the southwest, or you are from or in the north. It's the same thing everywhere, okay? The reason most southerners look at the north as one is probably because of the religion that kind of binds the people of the north together. And so people from the south tend to look at whatever happens in the north, they tend to favor their own people. But people don't even know that people from Kano, for example, don't directly link well with those from some parts of Jigawa, for example. A Kanawa will not directly want to give in to somebody from Jigawa. The Jigawa person does not want to give in directly to somebody from Kano. It happens everywhere, okay? But, I want to make reference to the caller that called before you went on break. I think it was a bit harsh on the North. He said he served in the North, and I would expect that with what he saw in the North, there should have been some kind of solution he will come up with. But I will also climb on the back of his last submission. I'm a very strong proponent and advocate of regional government because I think that every region of the country have their peculiar problems. And for us to be able to grow as a country, we need to go back to what worked for us. The Southwest grew, became very popular, became a region that was known for success, innovation. And in the days when the country was nothing, as it were, the Southwest provided leadership for the entire country. Okay, most of the things that we hear about that Nigeria was known to be popular for in those days, they didn't come from Nigeria completely. They came from the Southwest because we had leadership in place at that time that made the Southwest a darling of the entire African continent. So we have to go back and start to revisit some of those things that worked at that time for us. There are peculiarities with every region. The North may sound like one, but the North is also diverse. Okay, so we have to look at what works for the Northeast, for example, what works for the Northwest, what works for the North Central. The Northwest is made up of a lot of more cosmopolitan states than the Northeast. So what is it that can work for the Northwest different from what can work from the Northeast? If somebody in Taraba State, for example, only needs to get like 3 points out of 300 to get admission, why somebody from Kaduna or from Kano needs to score as high as 44, 45 to get admission to the same school? That means there are differences in these different regions. And even in the same Northeast, somebody from Adamawa needs to score as high as maybe 47, why somebody from maybe Borno or another neighboring state needs to score maybe as low as 6 or 7. There are peculiarities and there are things that work. Let's go back to these things. You're suggesting, though, this is one solution that
let me get if this is the idea you're proposing. What you're suggesting then establishes the idea that there is no need for these states to improve. Let's just work with what they have. And I'm not an advocate for pushing people to do what they want to do. If many people in the North think Arabic education is the thing for them, again, I'll say we can't call them illiterate. They are literate in that. But unfortunately, that's not how employment is given. No company would say, come write a test in Arabic, and then I can see if you can be an HR or if you can be an accountant. You need to study to be an accountant. So what do we do? What is this thing that can work in these zones? Do we say, with Arabic studies, let's just see what you have, what you can do, just keep doing it?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. We're on the same trajectory. Okay, so let's see if the North can work with what it currently has. If there's a system that it not thinks it can survive with, a model that it not thinks it can come up with and can work with, let it not build something around it. Okay, let it not build a system of governance. Let it not build a system of rulership, whatever name you want to call it, that can work for it. Okay, while the South continues to grow its own on the trajectory of Western education or something. If the North thinks Arabic education
that will again drive inequality
that Arabic education and make it very, very appealing to its people, and then they can build something that is fruitful for them going forward. But if we continue to put together, every region of the country and make it look like we all must continue to fit into the same basket or fit into the same box, I think we're going to continue with this struggle for as long as Nigeria will exist.
One country.
Sincerely speaking.
Okay. You see, this is not.
This is not. We are not proliferating the country by this idea. We are only strengthening a model that each region can work and survive with. This is not proliferation.
The yardstick. The world is growing. We're talking technology. We're talking science. We're talking girls not going to school. What model could work?
Hold on. These are social problems you are mentioning. That's not part of the solution. All right, the girls not going to school, the emergency system, all these are social problems. Okay, but there are other countries in the world that don't put the English language, for example, as a language of as
the
they
math
study
and
language,
science
so to
and
say.
arts.
They study. Now, who said that that cannot be done in Arabic language if the North is comfortable with Arabic language, for example?
Go back to
Who
the
said that can
phones.
be
You are
done?
saying let them
Who said math
learn
cannot
in
be
the
taught?
language
Who
they're
said engineering
comfortable
can't be
with,
done?
in the space they're comfortable with.
That they are comfortable with. If Arabic has been a language of communication and a language of learning in the North for 100 years plus, and I think the North can learn better in Arabic language.
Let me get back to the phone lines. If you didn't get the numbers the first, second, third time, here they are again.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
This is the Morning Crossfire. I am Wemimo Adewuni. I am listening. We're asking the question, does the quota system help Nigeria? If it doesn't, what other concept do you prefer? What should we be doing instead? That's what I need you to tell me when you come on the phone. Ifeanyi is in Lekki, as in joining the show now. Ifeanyi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Wemimo.
Good morning.
Yeah, people are always interested in solutions, right?
Solutions, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. You see, I just want to go straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no point lamenting the Nigerian situation. It's too bad.
Mm.
You know, it's too bad to be described. You know, but you see, we can't afford not to go back to regionalism. We have to go back to regions. That's the only way out. People have to govern themselves. People have to determine their own destinies themselves. Okay? So the way Nigeria is structured now, keep it the next 1 million years. It's a waste of time. It will never work.
But what do you think of the idea that Ola proposes, that we allow these states to grow at their own pace?
Allow each state or region.
Region.
So region.
Yeah.
Regions should grow at their pace now. That's what I say is the way out. You can't, I mean, you determine your fiscal future, determine your security, determine everything yourself. You can't send somebody from Sokoto to come and determine policing in Lagos. It's nonsense.
But you want to get employment in those states, then how do you do it? Because every region cannot employ everybody from there. I mean, they need people from...
Now, look at what happens. Somebody studies in Nigeria, and at some point, it starts to go to Canada, right? So if he gets to Canada, and the Canadian system vets him and finds him employable, fine. So the same thing should work here. If somebody studied Arabic in Sokoto, and he decides to go to Enugu to work, if he finds some people looking for Arabic graduates in Enugu, fine. I mean, you don't force anything on people. Let's go back to governance. People should govern themselves, all right? And, I mean, that's the only way. If you don't want to have a complete breakup.
All right. Thank you, Ifeanyi. Thank you so much, Ifeanyi. Let me speak with Wale from Yaba. Thank you for holding the line, Wale.
Thank you, Webima. Wale Folawunsho is my name once again.
Welcome to the show.
Mr. Ola Barnabas,
is listening.
That actually said it all. I completely agree with him. Let us go back to the regional system of government. That will solve a lot of our problems. Do you understand? So this restructuring and all that people have been clamoring for over time, regional system of government will naturally solve those problems. Do you understand? So that's that. Now, talking about Arabic education, he was talking about every region growing, in their own pace and things like that. Now, you mentioned issue of, saying mathematics and things like that. I can actually confirm to you, I am a Muslim, and I know that this Arabic system of, education and all that also incorporates science, mathematics and things like that. It's just because many of their, teachers, those Malam and all that, are not actually, some of them are not willing to improve themselves. Some of them are not, stand enough before they, start parading themselves as, teachers and all that. But if that can be done, going should not be a problem. We actually rather be a solution for us in the country. That's my submission.
Thank you very much for calling. Let's speak with Kingsley. He's on the line from Ikoyi. Kingsley, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning to you. Hello, Kingsley. Sorry about that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning to you.
Yeah, this is Damian.
Donald, where are you calling from? Okay.
Yeah, want to contribute.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. The issue of quota system, Nigerians should ask what they decide is the Igbos did to catch up with the western part of the nation in terms of education. You can remember that the Igbos were lagging behind before, but with time they were able to catch up. Why? Most of the community came up together and they established community schools, and they sponsored some brilliant minds among them. From there, you now find out because they observed that these are the future, they invested heavily in it. That's why now they found out that some of the people even dealing in papers in Ladipo and in electronics in Ojalawa are graduates. So the North, I fight in the North, but the issue is that their leaders are cheating them.
Aren't your leaders down south cheating you?
Are they investing in education like the people in the south are investing?
I said your own leaders down south. Do you think they are not cheating you?
They are teaching, but they are investing.
Maybe the type of cheating is just different.
In education, at least they are investing in education. They are investing in education. When I started in Niger State, you find children studying under the chief. And this is the state that has produced 2 presidents in Nigeria.
Right, thank you very much. Let me speak with Chinedu, who's in Lekki. Chinedu, good morning.
Good morning, Wemimo. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Okay. I grew up I was born and I grew up in the North.
Great.
And, given the situations up north over the years, one of your resource persons in person of, what's his name now, Rotimi Sankore, outlined this several times. The commissioners of education in the North over the years, their governors, their leaders, political leaders, traditional leaders, Islamic, whatever leader, they failed that part of the country in terms of, educating the mass, the population of that region. There is nothing that the people on this other side talking about the South is doing differently. They are just following what it is that is required to educate the people. Growing up in the North at the time, I grew up in Kano State precisely. Let me just give you a brief. We had there was a scholarship exam we wrote with my elder sister. We grew up there, so we are allowed to write the exam and we passed. The cutoff mark for that exam is a scholarship exam from secondary to university level. We passed the exam. I scored 44. My elder sister scored 42. And at the end of the day, we didn't get the scholarship. Why? Because we were not part of the country. My father's driver, son, who attended the same extra class with us by the name Bashir Bello, he wrote the exam with us. He scored 20, and he got that scholarship.
Wow.
You get. So
all right.
All these things it has to do with leadership. What it is that the leader should do.
Chinedu, thank you very much. Let me run you by some other numbers for those who don't understand the idea of the quota system and federal character principle. I remember that was introduced by Abubakar Tafawa Balewa's government in about 1960, thereabout, and it was focusing on the recruitment and the military personnel to ensure fairness. Successive governments have used it for the recruitment of personnel into public service, also into institutions and admissions of students into schools. Now, in the educational sector, part of the admission is based on quota system and part is based on merit. So here's a breakdown. For federal colleges, federal government colleges for boys and girls, 20% is based on merit, 50% is based on equity of states, 30% is based on geography. Where are you from? Now, for Federal Government Technical College, Yaba, and King's College in Lagos, 20% is based on merit, 80% on equity of states. Universities, polytechnics, schools of arts and science, advanced teachers colleges, 60% is based on merit, 40% on equity of states. For those of you who've been asking, I hope you got your questions answered there. Jeffrey is in Apapa. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I want to quickly talk about the quota system.
Please make it quick.
Yeah, what I feel is the quota system will not even improve education in the north. Because if you go to countries like Dubai, Kuwait, Saudi, you don't apply quota system when you want to get to school there. Because you don't see children on the streets in those countries begging for food. You know, this quota system in the north, what it means is you're basically begging people to go to school. You don't give them the opportunity to actually understand that education is the way forward. You know, some of these organizations that go against child abuse should actually go against these leaders that have children begging as almajiris in their own states. Quota system does not help anything. It doesn't create a level playing ground for people to actually learn. When you introduce them to Islamic education, that's fine. But you need to back it up with Western education. You don't go against Western education, but you use the amenities. You use the things that comes out from Western education. The North, what about if the North was a country of its own? Would they apply the quota system among themselves?
Maybe. With the diversity. Well, Jeffrey, thank you very much. With the diversity that Ola Barnabas has mentioned, by the way, he had to leave. Every region is still very much diverse. Even in the southeast, many states would say, no, I'm from Imo. No, you're from Nambra. No, I'm this. No, I'm Ogun. No, I'm Ondo. I mean, even within ourselves, we're so divided. And we still say, no, I want to give people from Ikale in Ondo State before I think about other people from other areas, even within Ondo State. But let me read some messages quickly online. Hello, Wemimo, please, is Arabic the official language or the local language in the north? No. They have many languages in the north also. Says the problem of Nigeria is the north. I don't agree with that. Says they do things based on the ideology of their religion. Don't you also do the same? Don't you also do things based on your religion? Says the best thing is for Nigeria to be restructured and let each region develop themselves. That's from Peter. Okay. You said I didn't read your message very well. Okay. Oh, okay. The degrees you got. Okay, but we get the idea. You have so many degrees, but you still didn't get a job. And someone who has OND got it. Hello, I love your program. Thank you very much. Bioya from Surulere said more people in the north are not qualified or properly educated, and that is not adding value to the country. Wemimo, you read it yourself, that in 1958, the backwardness of the institutions in the north was the reason for the quota system to make opportunities equal. Over 60 years down the line, what development can the north boast of from all the revenues that has been pumped into it? And the comments go on and on. But I must go now. I'm sure you've enjoyed the show this morning, which is why you should be an evangelist, right? And invite more people to listen to the Morning Crossfire. The show starts at 6 a.m. Tomorrow, I'm asking questions about infrastructure. We talked about things not working in Nigeria, right? We say it's the north. How about your state? Tell me about infrastructural deficit in your region on the show tomorrow. We have a presidential spokesperson coming in live in the studio on the show tomorrow. So get ready with all your questions. I'll open the phone lines early. I'd like you to ask him all your questions about infrastructure. And on Wednesday, our Almajiri system, a former presidential candidate, Adamu Garba, insists that it is the way to go. I've asked him to come join me on the show right here in Lagos. So he's agreed to a one-on-one face-off. He says, Wemimo, bring it on. I'm ready. Okay, let's talk about the Almajiri system on Wednesday. But join me tomorrow from 6 a.m. Morning Business and Economy comes in with Tunji Andrews just after this. I am Wemimo Adewuni. Have a good day.